right, Dan, I have heard you say that you've been given the UFC's new shiny toy in Michael Chandler. What attracts you to this fight?
Man, just the stock that the UFC put behind the guy. You know, they put him as the backup for the title for Gagey Chandler. That shows me that they put a lot of stock into him. So to take him out puts me back in title contention.
And the general feeling is that this is stylistically is a really good fight for you. That's what most of the pundits are saying. Do you believe that as well?
Yeah, like going back. To be honest, I hadn't even watched a Michael Chandler fight before they approached me about this fight, but going back and watching his fights, he's been competing at a high level for a very long time. But yeah, just stylistically, I think it matches up well. A guy that he's a lot shorter than me, he's going to come to me. I don't have to chase him down, and he's going to shoot for takedowns. That's to be honest, like that's what my game's built around, is like shorter guys trying to take me down, because that's something I've been dealing with since very early on in my career, and I feel like those are the best fighters that they just bring out the best in me.
Did you feel you leveled up against Poirier? Like, he is the guy right now who's probably regarded as the best, not retired lightweight on the planet. Do you feel that was a level up fight for you in terms of, I guess, figuring out where your skill level against the guy rated as the top lightweight in the world?
Yes and no. I feel like I answer a lot of questions performing terribly, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like for me, like going back technically, fan perspective, great fight. I go back and I watch that fight and I'm like, man, that's a good fight. I would pay good money to watch that fight. But stylistically, I fought terribly, and I know what I'm capable of. My coaches know what I'm capable of, and it's so much better than that. So it's just, that's all that I want to do, is go out there and perform the way that I'm capable of performing.
And you've been training for 5-round fights, so I can imagine a 3-round fight is actually quite exciting for you, that you can drop that. I mean, because in the Poirier fight, it dropped your gas tank sort of after trying to finish him in the second round. You feel like now you can actually not take your time, just go out there and give it the full damn on it.
Bro, 3 rounds with a full camp. That's a whole different story than our last fight. 5 rounds on a few weeks training. That's a tall ask against a guy with an incredible gas tank. So yeah, I've made a lot of improvements, but that's definitely something I'm smiling about. You know, I do very well early on in my fight, so I'm excited to go out there and push a 3-round pace fight with a full camp. I got a full tank, and I'm full of beans, and I'm ready to go.
You mentioned a full camp. How long ago did the UFC bring this fight to you? I know they were looking to pass it off to someone else. So.
Yeah, like that's the funny thing. I've been training for this fight. I've been training for this fight for a long time. I've been training for the full camp. For me is 8 weeks. So I've got an 8-week notice for this fight. So he's having a chop and change, and I know I heard early on they were trying to get Gagey to take the fight. Then they're trying to get Charles Oliveira to take the fight. And it's like, I don't know, because maybe they want to protect their new toy. Dana's invested a bunch of money in this new guy, hype him up, and I'm like that cousin you don't lend your toys to, because I'll break him real quick.
After the Poirier fight, you had a little bit of a standout period. Now, were you trying to get back in toward the end of last year?
Yeah. No, I was trying to get in. I was back training. I was back fit. I wanted to fight. I think I was ready to go in November, but with two of my coaches, Twister and Eugene, had obligated themselves to the junior firefight. So, and I could understand that Eugene had been in and out of quarantine like 3 times. He's been traveling all over the world. He's like the most quarantined person in the world. So when he said, I'm done for this year, wait till next year, I respected that decision, and we just stood down. We just stood down until this fight got offered to me in January. It's not last year, so I had to jump on it.
With Israel fighting in March, I assume a few of the other boys will be fighting between your fight and his. How's that going to work for the corners and the guys coming over? Are you just going to be going solo?
So it's not the actual fight that's the problem. It's the voucher system that they have set up for managed isolation. That's going to be like the major roadblock. So we go over there like 2 weeks early. I'm off next week, flying to the UAE, and after the fight I have to stay a month before I can come back. They booked 2 months in advance, so we had like a lot of notice. But just I feel like the managed isolation system is broken. Like people are, because you know, there's a lot of hurdles when you're traveling back to a country. You don't know when the exact date. So people are booking out, like they're booking like 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. They're booking it all up. It's like when Israel came back. They came back and managed isolation was like half empty or like a third empty. Like people were just booking, taking up all the space and not coming back. So the system's broken. No one's doing anything about fixing the system. So it's kind of making it impossible for, or it's making it a lot more difficult for guys that, you know, we rely on international travel to pay our bills and to feed our families. So I kind of feel like I have no choice to take the fight. I have no choice but to stay. But it's a decision that I've all taken into account when I accepted the fight.
Are you staying for Israel's fight then? Between Vegas and Abu Dhabi?
Yeah. So I'm not too sure where his fight was. There's a few of the other guys. Yeah, I'll probably come back. I'll probably be sick of it by then, to be honest.
So who's going to be in your corner for the fight? Do you know yet?
So yeah, I do know that because we had to book it. One of my students from here is coming with me. My young fella Nate, he's coming with me for the trip, and then old coach of mine, George Hickman, he's over with Khalil Roundtree. So I worked with him for years back when I was training at Tiger Muay Thai and competing in the UFC. So I've done extensive work with George. He's an incredibly experienced coach, and he'll bring, he'll be able to steer the ship pretty right. So I'm confident. I'm confident that 95, 99% of the work, you know, my camp back here has been incredible. Working with Twist, working with Hughes, working with Andre, working with Mike, working with Doug. Like my camp and my preparation, I'm so confident in that I feel like I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I feel like all the work's been done.
So your team will map out, and your coaches, Mike and Doug, will map out the game plan, and that'll be implemented by you.
That's like drilled into the back of my eyeballs. Like it's that's what I mean. Like stylistically, this fight matches up well because there's not a lot of new tools that I have to reach into the bag. I feel like a lot of the tried and true and tested aspects of my game will perform very well against a fighter like Chandler.
What do you make of the stock that UFC put in Chandler coming off a couple of wins against guys like Benson Henderson, Sydney Outlaw coming in and basically saying this is a top 5 guy?
Yeah, it's I was a bit confused by that. I took the fight and I went back and I studied his career and I watched his career. Like I watch it kind of chronologically back from present day to like past. And he's been competing in Bellator since I think his third fight was in Bellator. So if you go back to a lot of other guys, like they'll have 10, 20 fights, get in the UFC, and then have 5, 10 fights in the UFC. Like this guy's been competing 20 something fights in Bellator. Like that's a big stage. That's a lot of eyes. Like he's used to the pressure. Like he knows how to handle the situation. He's a very experienced guy. So I understand the stock that they're putting in him for sure.
It's about 3 weeks out now, bro. How are you feeling?
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel real good. You know, I've been training for this for a long time, and it's good timing for me. Like everyone's like, oh man, you had to train through the holidays and you had to train through this and that. But for me, it's the perfect time because I have all my fighters in this gym that I take care of throughout the year. So usually I'm training, teaching, like chopping and changing a lot. But things in like the amateur level, they wind down and they get like the holiday season off. So things shut up shop like a month ago. So I've just been able to focus on my training and just train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep. And I feel, yeah, it's I've had a lot more energy for training for this camp.
Sort of level things up and didn't have a festive season and training to change it all?
Nah. We train 6 a.m. Christmas Day. Like everything's been. I've been lucky that a lot of our training partners who don't have fights have been hanging around, and I think there's been this extra boost with everyone coming back, with Brad coming back, Israel coming back, Kai coming back. Like everyone, it's been like an injection of energy just these last couple of weeks leading into a fight.
Has that training changed anything stylistically from the last fights?
I'd say like 90% of the work has been the same. just a few like technical changes, depending, just on a few tendencies that Chandler has that I've been working with my coaches. So I'd say a bulk of the work remains the same. It's just I count my lucky stars that I've been able to get in the gym and have a full camp for this fight.
And how does it feel to be the co-main event?
Yeah, that's I would be lying if I would say that that's not a big reason why I jumped on this fight. Like, imagine if they told you, oh man, you got to go away for 2 months, turn this fight down. Oh, Michael Chandler, he's not even ranked. What's the point? Someone gets hurt in that main event and you miss that spot. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be kicking myself for the rest of my days. This is a game of opportunity. To play the McGregor roulette, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't going all in on that. If something happens and that fight opens up, man, I would jump on that fight in a heartbeat.
We've seen a huge expansion of Māori MMA fighters, particularly yourself, Cara France, Shane Young. Is this a new pathway for Māori athletes?
100%. This is getting carved out as a professional sport and a real. Even if you're not coming into the sport to be the world champion or be professional, there's so much discipline, so much work ethic that you can learn from, and you can apply to other things. Like, not everyone that walks through my doors is going to be a world champion, but it's like a championship mentality that you develop. You learn how to be disciplined. You learn that if you work hard, do the training, and focus and make the right decisions in your life, that you're gonna get somewhere. So people learn those lessons here and they take them to their workplace. They take them to their job, or they want to start a new business, and they apply the things they learn here in that environment and they succeed. So yeah, not everyone needs to be a world champ, but it's just a mentality of success that gets shared.
And I guess just following on from that, martial arts and MMA particularly has changed a lot of pathways for our people.
Yep.
How does it feel to be a role model for growing up in Māori?
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud to do that. I'm proud. I try to integrate it as much as I can. This year I'll be because I got a lot of Māori students here. I'm trying to learn the language myself, so I'm doing a full Māori day, and then I hope to, so you can only speak te reo in the gym for a day, and then I want everyone to learn from that, and then have a te reo week where all classes will be taught in te reo. So I want to, bit difficult for our foreign coaches, but they're just going to have to learn.
Do you think about integrating that into your training and things as well?
Yeah, we've been talking about that. Like with coaching as well, because especially in the quiet stadiums, everything is that you can hear the other team's coaches, or you can hear our coaches. So everyone kind of has the same numbers, like a jab is a 1, a 2 is a cross, like everything's like pretty similar. So we'll try to integrate that into our training, that we call the Māori, the numbers out in te reo, so then the other team doesn't know what we're talking about. So it's a bit of battle tactics we're getting brought into it.
Dan, New Zealand is pretty much one of the only countries right now that could actually stage a UFC and fill out an arena full of fans. Would that be in the too hard basket for Dana to consider bringing the team here and quarantining for 2 weeks and then maybe having a month full of cards? Could you, I know Israel was thinking about pitching that to him for his next fight. Can you see that happening, that potentially they could be convinced to come here and stage fights and fight fans?
I'd say as soon as that starts getting opened up, or the UFC starts pressing that as an option, I feel like New Zealand will be top of the list there, just because we have been, had such a great track record with COVID. Vaccines increase. I feel like quarantine times will shorten with the vaccines, and when things start opening up, I think New Zealand will be top of the list.